Hello everyone and welcome to Cinderful Gaming. I hope you're all doing well, I hope you're all staying safe, and most of all, I hope you're all fighting that war against the Grey. Today's video we're going to talk start collecting Conquest, the last argument of kings, and today we're going to take a look at the two-player starter set, in particular the 100 Kingdoms side of that two-player starter set, and see how we can use it to start a 100 Kingdoms force for Conquest, last argument of kings. In this video, we'll go through all the models that come inside this box set for the 100 Kingdoms, talk about them, what they do on the table. We'll then take a look at some other units we can bring into this initial starting force to give us 1,000 points of 100 Kingdoms, and at the end of the video, we'll give you a little sample army list for you to use as some inspiration to build your own 100 Kingdoms army. So with that all said, what do we get in this box set? And the first thing we get is our hero option, our leader option, which is the Noble Lord. And we get the mounted cavalry version of it in this box set. Pretty solid stuff all round. Movement 8, Clash 3, 5 attacks, 4 wounds, Resolve 3, Defense 3, really nice. He's also got shields, so Defense 4 when he's fighting and defending against that front arc. Brutal Impact 2 on his base, which is really cool, meaning he minuses 2 off his opponent when he does impact hits. And he's got the cool Supremacy Speed of Horse, where when this character stands on the battlefield, all household knight regiments gain the glorious charge and support 2 special rule, which is pretty awesome. On top of that, he's got access to a bunch of really cool artifacts and stuff like that, and he's got his different weapon arts he can use, all of which are really nice. Jouster in particular, I really like on him, giving him the Brutal Impact 2 rule, which, you know, combines with the fact he's already got Brutal Impact 2. There, which is really solid stuff. Now alongside him we have a unit of 3 household knights. Now these obviously get the bonuses from having our Noble Lord mounted on them. They've got Brutal Impact 2 as well, a shield and defensive 3, meaning defensive 4 in that front arc. Resolve 3, Clash 2, 4 attacks is really nice. And they have a unique upgrade which I really like called the Tawny Champ, which allows you to add 2 to your charge distances, as well as having a standard bearer which will give you the nice unstoppable rule, which will allow you to reroll failed charge actions as well. So plus 2 to charge and rerolls is pretty nice, making sure those knights are going to get in and do the damage, because they can be quite devastating on the charge. We then get 12 Mercenary Crossbowmen, a nice light shooting unit available to the 100 Kingdoms. Mercenary Crossbowmen, though, do only have volley of 2, but you know, a 20-inch barrage means there's a good chance you're not having to move too much with them, and you can make those volley 3 actions really nice. Armor Piercing 1 is really solid on them, just allows you to get through that few extra hits. And then lastly, we have 24 men at arms. You can build this as either 2 12-man blocks or a single 24 model block. Men at arms are a medium class infantry type unit. They've got shields, so a nice defensive 3 fighting in that front arc. Clash 2, 4 attacks, 1 wound, resolve of 2. They can have a couple of nice little upgrades. The Seasoned Veteran allows them to have the Bastion X draw event. And then they've also got the Neophyte, where you can make priests targeting them get their prez off a little bit easier thanks to the Devout special rule that model provides to the unit. But you've got a really solid start. You've got a nice light unit, you've got a nice heavy hitting unit, and a good solid block of troops that'll hold the line for you as well as a character that really does suit one of the particular units and really turns that unit on. Really solid start for 100 Kingdoms army, this box set, without a doubt. And so going on to look at what else we can expand with. Now, the fact we've got 3, potentially 2 or 3 units already in the force, I think it's worth having a look to see what else we could bring into the force in the form of another hero. Definitely when you're stretching to 1,000 points, you're going to find it with a lot of armies struggle to sort of get there without sort of piling in too many points into the same units you've already got. So a Theist Priest for me is a great one. First of all, it's going to add a bit of magic to your army. It's going to allow you to learn a different part of the game. But I do think he's a pretty solid offensive wizard. You can give him some really cool spells, but I always do love Holy Fire. It's a casting value of 3. Each successful hit with it does 2 hits, which can be pretty nice. A good solid amount of damage coming out of him, in all honesty. Now, he does open up some interesting unit options that come alongside him. He has Militia and Militia Bowmen. These are effectively cheaper versions pretty much of your Mercenary Crossbowmen and Men-at-Arms that you have in your initial starter box, and you can pick up either one to sort of use as the regiment to sort of put him in. I think that militia slightly better. Militia bowmen don't really have all that much going for them, but militia are really cool, and it really depends what you're trying to use him for and what spells you end up putting on this model. Militia are really nice because he generally wants to get quite close with his holy fire. Using that to sort of cause some fire damage in your opponent's lines is really nice. Militia also have the support, so work well in larger units. Militia bowmen are really interesting as well. While they're not got a lot to offer, with just a volley of 1, defense of 1, resolve of 2, they are, 75 points for some nice, cheap shooting units is nothing, I guess, to be looked down upon. Lastly, let's look at a unit we can bring in to our initial warband with our noble lord, and that is mounted squires. This actually gives us access to another light unit from his warband and another cavalry option as well. They can have a Count Palatine in their unit, which is a special upgrade where their clashes is always inspired, which is really cool. And they're not too terrible, with 4 attacks each, clash 2, resolve and defense 2, and shields for those front arc defense bonuses is all pretty nice. A nice solid light unit that's going to get you up the board and get those reinforcement lines moving up real quick for you. Which is really nice to get those knights in a later turn from those mounted squires coming up the board nice and quick. And so, lastly, we have our sample army list for you. Now, we've got a perfect 1,000 point spend of our 100 kingdoms here. Our Noble Lord cavalry option is going to be our Warlord. He's going to have the Wedge Mastery, which is going to give him the Terrifying Charge, Glorious Charge, which provides him with the Terrifying rule when they charge. And then we're also going to have the Lorien Lance, which provides him with a +1 to his Brutal Impact, meaning he's got Brutal Impact 3. And lastly, he's going to have the Jouster fighting ability as well, which is really cool. This is just going to give him some more power and another Brutal Impact too. Just really solid stuff there. So, he's got all those Brutal Impact coming in. The Lorien Lance is going to help him just do so much more damage with it. Really solid stuff. And then we have our household knights, who are going to have their Tourney Champ, Leader, and Standard Bearer, so every model's got an upgrade in here. Generally, I think once you've got the charge off, you can probably drop your Standard Bearer first after that initial important charge goes off. Or your Leader, really, the Leader probably provides the least. But these knights here with your Noble Lord are really just going to punch through most things at this sort of points value. Men-at-Arms, all 6 of them in a single unit with a Standard Bearer and Leader for a nice big block of troops to hold ground. Mercenary Crossbowmen to provide some fire support, and your Mounted Squires, like I said, these just are great for getting your army up the table nice and early, providing that really deep reinforcement line for you. Then we've got our Theus Priest, who's going to have Focus, which allows him to reroll 1 dice in every casting attempt, and he's got Holy Fire. We're surrounded by 3 blocks of Militia. 2 characters, 3 light regiments, and 2 medium regiments. This is really good because a lot of our light regiments come on nice and quick. The Mounted Squires are generally always going to be that unit you're wanting to get onto the board and up the table nice and quick first. And then try and get those knights as far forward as you can, hopefully with those Mounted Squires up to get them in and dealing some damage to your opponent nice and quick. Potentially even getting the Militia up further as well. If you try to get, one of your light units on a little bit later in the game, the Militia are definitely the unit to sort of go for, bringing on a little bit later, getting that Theus Priest in range and fighting much earlier. But if you're playing with 100 Kingdoms in Conquest, let us know how you're going and what you've been doing down in the comments below. And so that is the end of the video. Thank you all for watching. If you enjoyed it, please don't forget to leave a like and subscribe to the channel, and drop a comment down below and let us know what you enjoyed about the video. If you'd like to come chat more with me and other members of our little community here at Sinful Gaming, we've got a link to our Discord server down in the video's description. And if you'd like to help support the channel in another way, you can do so either by joining Patreon or YouTube members, or purchasing something from our Ko-fi web store. All of them are linked in the video's description. Thank you all for everyone who chooses to help support the channel. As a special thank you to those people who have supported via Patreon and YouTube members, we'd like to give a special shout out to them all. So a shout out to our patrons Christian Weir, James, Soren, Greenskins Gaming, AJC, Kenny Lowe, Owler and Shop First, Andrew Bowen, Nathan Fee, The Rising Ape, Cure Dynamic, Agu, Anthony B, Anton Nielsen, JJ Austrian, Average Wargamer, Domir, Mark Harvey, James Cater, Dyna226, Derek, and GRP390. A special thank you to our YouTube members, Green Roots Gaming, Kenton Young, Chris Wallace, Ronya, Vinny, Lockloric, The Johnny84, David Ellsworth, Revenar, Wolfric Nick, Broken Chef, Ariana Edwards, Sean Scott, Pink Nico Fire, and Robin Mankiller as well. Lastly, a special shout out first of all to Lady Witchfox Art, who does all the amazing artwork for the channel you see, and to Xmorphic, who has done an amazing job at setting up our Discord server for her and making us have a nice place to content and to chat with all of our community. Thank you all for watching once again, everyone. Stay safe, stay well, and most of all, keep fighting that war against the grey. Ciao for now.